Hey team, welcome to this breakdown of the new MARCHON Gyms training phase. So as always, we are doing a 12-week training phase starting today, the 5th of January, and taking ourselves all the way up until the end of March. So the KPIs for this 12-week training phase are going to be a 1 rep max strict press, a 3 rep max back squat, and a 5 rep max deadlift. So in terms of the strength tests, if you have previously done a MARCHON Gyms program, you will know that we often do different reps for men and women. Now, the main reason why we haven't done this training phase is because we are trying to peak our members towards doing an Athx, particularly Athx Madrid. So Athx Madrid, coincidentally, is on the same week that this training phase ends, which is the end of March. So it should peak our MARCHON Gyms members perfectly for this Athx event. So the tests, the strength tests for Athx are 1 arm strict press, 3 arm back squat, 5 rep max deadlift. So we want, and that's for men and women, so we want to make sure that people are primed and ready for that. Historically, we have done different rep ranges because women typically respond to slightly more volume and slightly higher reps based off the fact that they are more enduring, they can express strength or more reps at a given percentage than men, so they'll often get a better training stimulus by training slightly higher reps. Obviously, if a competition or a sport like powerlifting requires a woman to do a 1 rep max or a 2 rep max or 3 rep max, then absolutely they should train that. But for the majority of our members training for health and general fitness, they'll probably get a better response from higher reps. However, for this training phase, you're going to see exactly the same rep ranges for men and women because we are trying to specifically train for an event which is Athx. So your conditioning test for this training phase is going to be a variation of the Athx Metcon. Now the Athx Metcon is a chipper, so you're doing 60 reps of set exercises and it's basically for time. Now in a class of 30, which is what we cap our classes at, you're going to struggle to be able to get everyone to be doing a chipper all moving at the same time. So instead what we've done is created a workout where it's going to be 30 seconds of work, 30 seconds of rest, 4 times on a station, similar to those of you that did it 2 training phases ago, the lactate shuttle, where it was minute on, minute off, I believe. This is very similar to that. So the idea is that you're going to be going through the station, you're going to do all 4 rounds on one station, then move to the next, and you'll be paired with someone else. So 30 seconds you go, 30 seconds your partner goes. Your score will be individual, but the 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off stations are going to be skier calories, dual dumbbell ground to overhead. So that can either be a clean and jerk or it can be a snatch, up to you. You've got a sandbag carry, you've got box jump overs, you've got dumbbell reverse lunges, you've got burpees to plate, and you've got rowing calories. So these are all either the exact same exercises that you'll see in the Athx Metcon or variations of. For example, we're doing a dumbbell reverse lunge for this test, but you'll be doing a dumbbell walking lunge, very similar, but slightly easier to manage space. And the same for burpees to plate. You're doing a burpee broad jump in the Athx conditioning piece, but burpees to plate are going to be mimicking a very similar stimulus. So for those of you that do not have any intention of doing an Athx, it doesn't matter. This is still going to be a very well-structured, well-rounded, functional fitness and functional strength program, which is going to allow for you to look better, feel better, perform better, get stronger, get fitter, all at the same time. However, those that are considering doing an Athx or are either doing an Athx at the end of January, as we have a lot of members across all the gyms doing Athx in the end of the Jan in London, and we have a lot of members doing Athx Madrid at the end of March. We want to make sure that those members are fully taken care of inside the gyms as well. And those that aren't doing either of those events are maybe considering doing an Athx but don't necessarily have the confidence to do it. This should give them lots of confidence, or give you lots of confidence to be able to do this program. So those are going to be the KPIs and the pairs. The structure for the skeleton of the week: Monday is going to be a squat focused full body strength session, Wednesday is going to be a strict press focused full body strength session, and Friday is going to be a deadlift focused full body strength session. So on the Monday you're going to do your squat, you're going to do some full body density. The gain option then for your accessories is going to be an upper body pump, no conditioning, just pump work, and then the train option is going to be lower body endurance. On the Tuesday is when we're going to be doing your Athx MARCHON conditioning. The progressions and the variations for this are going to be very mixed and very varied. Rather than following a very rigid or very structured progression throughout, we wanted to keep the formats and the style of conditioning to be different, but the stimulus is going to be very similar. The exercise is going to be very similar and going to mimic what you would use in the test or the exercises that you're doing in the test. But the way that we go about it every week is going to change, just to keep things varied and things fun. Wednesday is going to be your strict press. So you'll have that, you'll then have more full body density, and then your gain train combined is going to be core, carries, and erg. That's going to be an easier gain train finisher on the Wednesday. Thursday is going to be monostructural conditioning, again, very similar to what we did on the previous training phase. It's going to be running and ergs. This is going to, again, prepare you very well for your Athx endurance conditioning, which is rowing and running. So we're going to be doing variations of, now unfortunately we haven't got 15 or 30 rowers, so we're going to need to use, or we will be using different ergs as well, which will also get you super fit. So you've got bikes, you've got skis, you've got rows, you've got echo bikes, and you've got running as well. So we're going to include all of that on your Thursday session. Being fully transparent, this is not going to be that easy a session. In the past, we have intentionally limited your RPEs, RPE 6, RPE 7. If you are doing these as intended, this will be a slightly harder session. Now, if you feel like you're someone that doesn't recover well throughout the week, then perhaps try and treat Thursday as an easier session and manage your intensity accordingly. And for those of you that are wanting a monostructural threshold-esque stimulus, can push the weights, but push the intensity, but accept that on a Friday, when you come in and do your deadlift might suffer a little bit. So it's just going to be monostructural, individual workouts, partner workouts, running, rowing, ski, bike, etc. Very similar to what we've done in the past. Your barbell club on a Thursday, 7 p.m. is going to be some primer complexes. So we're going to be doing positional work, but we're going to be loading them up a little bit more rather than it just being an empty barbell. So you're going to have high pulls, muscle cleans, power cleans, variations that are going to allow for you to execute certain portions of the lift. You're then going to have a clean and jerk complex. So we're going to be working portions or variations of lifts of the clean and jerk. So for example, on week 1 to 3, you're going to be doing a 5-second power clean, push jerk, push press. And then you're going to be doing some split jerk techniques. So for those that either want to learn the split jerk or for those that are developing their split jerk technique, you'll have 10 to 15 minutes. First week, for example, we're doing 3 pause split jerks, so pausing in the dip and pausing the catch. And there'll be variations where we're starting at more volume, more time and attention, more time in positions. And then as we get towards the end, we'll be working towards heavy 3s, heavy 2s, for example, of split jerks. The accessories for that, we're going to do some press and split accessories, which is going to help your positions for the split jerk, and then we're going to do some barbell pendlay rows just to supplement the pushing movement with a pulling movement. Excuse me. Friday, deadlift focused, and then full body density, and then an aero pump. So the gain option is your aero pump, which is going to be upper body pump work similar to the Monday. I didn't want to take Friday arms out because everyone loves Friday arms, but we're going to include some ergs in that as well. So for example, you're doing this week on week 1 and week 2, it's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20 ascending ladder, calories on the erg, standing dumbbell curls, push-ups, 10-minute cap. Your train option is going to be running conditioning under fatigue. So this is going to be shuttle runs, running outside, variations or types of running that you've done in the past. And we're going to include that with other mixed movements. So then we might be doing burpees, we might be doing dumbbells, etc. But the emphasis is always going to be on running conditioning or shuttle conditioning. And then Saturday for your skills is going to be very similar. So we've got the primer complex, again, the same one that you were doing on the Thursday. We're going to do heavier clean and jerk. So rather than it being clean and jerk complexes, it's going to be clean and jerk relatively heavy. So for example, you're doing wave EMOMs on this Saturday. So minute 1, 3 clean and jerk, minute 2, 2 clean and jerk, minute 3, 1 clean and jerk. And you're going to repeat that 3 times for 12 minutes. Then got some gymnastics. This time we're going to be taking your hanging knee raises and toes to the bar and putting them under some fatigue, under some duress, because for those that are doing winter turf games at the end of February, this is going to get you ready to have to perform a hanging knee raises, toes to the bar under fatigue, whether that's through midline, grit work, or through higher heart rate. So we're going to incorporate some fatigue into the skills that you develop there. And then your Saturday send is always going to be the same, which is going to be varied, threshold, 30 to 45 minute works, pairs, teams of 3, etc. So going into a little bit more of the detail in the progression. So Monday, back squat, we're going to do a 3 rep max test, and then we're going to test again week 12. If you're doing Athx Madrid, you will have a taper on week 12 instead of a test. For your back squat, we're going to do sets of 8s, sets of 6s, 5, 4, 3, and then 3s, and then you'll do a 4, 3, 2, and then test. So week 1, 3 rep max test, week 2 and 3, 8s, week 4 and 5, 6, week 6 and 7, 5, 4, 3, week 8 and 9, 3, and then week 10 and 11, 4, 3, 2, week 12, test or taper. That's going to be how we're going to progress in your back squat. Your density piece is going to be a horizontal press, a vertical pull, and hamstring isolation work. So for your horizontal press, we're going to start with a dumbbell incline bench. That's going to be 30 degrees, and we're going to take you down in 6 weeks' time when the accessories change. Week 7 to 12, you're going to do a flat dumbbell bench press. That should allow for you to go a little bit heavier, normally working more of your upper chest on an incline press, down to more of the mid pecs and mid chest for your dumbbell bench press. This is going to be your only horizontal pressing outside of some push-ups in your pump work that you're going to see in the program, because we want to emphasize your strict press and vertical pressing absolute strength. We're going to also do some vertical pulling in the form of either some chin-ups, so supinated chin-up, or a supinated narrow grip pull-down if you don't have the capacity to do chin-ups. That's going to stay the same for the entire training phase. And then you've got straight leg RDLs, starting off with dumbbells, and then the second 6 weeks moving to a stiff leg deadlift. So we've historically done dumbbell RDLs, which are going to be more glute biased, so a vertical shin trying to expand through the pockets. This time we're going to be doing a straight leg RDL, and this is going to be more hamstring focused. So only a tiny bend in the knee, and you should feel your hips pushing back more, weight more on your heels, legs a bit straighter. You should feel more length through the hamstrings there. And then we're going to move that to a barbell, but we'll reset on the floor each time with a barbell. So hopefully you would have developed some positional awareness there before we go onto the barbell. Like I said, gain upper body pump, train lower body endurance. So the lower body endurance, for example, on the train option is wall balls with erg. The gain upper body pump is nice and simple: lateral raises, tricep extensions, supinated curls. Tuesday, as I said, it's going to be very varied and very mixed. You'll test on week 1, you'll test or taper on week 11, not week 12, because we don't want to create too much fatigue in your testing week. And that's going to be the majority of your Tuesday Athx conditioning. Then Wednesday is going to be your strict press. We're going to do a 1 rep max test this week, week 1. You're going to test or taper again week 12. And we're going to do higher reps, very similar to what you're doing on the back squat. Now, the reason why I've decided to do this is because you're not going to get too much change out of doing 3s and 2s and 1s for an entire 12-week training phase, or the vast majority of our members aren't going to get much change. What they will get more out of is doing some slightly higher reps, a little bit more volume, and building some muscle in the delts and in that pressing movement. And then you can express more strength through that muscle, rather than it just being 3s and 2s and 1s, more of like a peaking. So that's why we've gone for higher reps there. So you're going to do week 2 and 3, 8, 6, 5. Week 4 and 5, 6. Week 6 and 7, 5, 4, 3. Week 8 and 9, 3s. Week 10 and 11, 4, 3, 2. So very similar to the back squat that you're doing. And then test and taper week 12. For your part B, you're going to do a single leg squat, more hamstring work, and then horizontal pulling. So your single leg is going to be lunges or reverse lunges. So you're going to do a dumbbell deficit reverse lunge for the first 6 weeks, and then you're going to do a barbell reverse lunge, no deficit, for the second 6 weeks. We're then going to do hamstring rollers for the entirety of the training phase for the second exercise, and then we're going to do some horizontal pulling in the form of a seated narrow grip row, so the same grip if you were doing a narrow grip pull down for the first 6 weeks, and then a barbell supinated bent over row. You might call this a Yates row from Dorian Yates. Barbell supinated bent over row is going to work slightly different portions of your lat and your upper back. Then you've got part C, which is your gain train core finisher, and that's going to be core carries and ergs. So for example, this week we are doing max calories on the erg in pairs. After every change, you're going to do a mixed grip suitcase and front rack carry into 20 kettlebell swings and then swap over. So that's going to be your Wednesday session. Thursday, we've already described monostructural ergs and running. And then Friday, your deadlift focused. We're going to do a 5 rep max test. We're going to do higher reps because I don't want people to go too heavy with the deadlifts too early on. So we're going to do week 2 and 3 sets of 10, week 4 and 5 sets of 8, week 6 and 7, 8, 6, 5, week 8 and 9, 5s, and week 10 and 11, 5, 4, 3. Taper test week 12, and that's going to be your deadlift. For part B, for your density piece, you're going to do some cyclist squats for the first 6 weeks, so a barbell front rack cyclist squat for the first 6 weeks, so quads in isolation, and then we're going to do a regular barbell front squat for the second 6 weeks, so bringing back in those front squats a little bit. We're doing a vertical press and then some upper back. So your vertical press is going to be dumbbell for the first 6 weeks, seated dumbbell supported, and then a landmine press. Those are there to supplement Wednesday's more absolute strength strict pressing. And then your upper back is going to be an upper back pull down. So some of you might not have done this before, but it's essentially going to be like a lat pull down, but you're going to be leaning back more at 45 degrees, driving the elbows back behind you, and then you're going to do a cable face pull for the second 6 weeks. So working more rhomboids, mid traps, rear delts, etc. Supporting some of those upper back musculature. And then your gain option is going to be the upper body aero pump, so essentially using the same exercises that you would see in your pump work, but with ergs and running, etc. And then your train option is going to be running under fatigue, things like shuttles and running with burpees, other mixed movements, etc. And that is your program. So any questions, feel free to hit me up, whether you come to Victoria and you see me in the gym, whether it's through Instagram, Patrick_James_coach, or leave a comment down below. I'm very excited to see how everyone does doubling down on their Athx strength and conditioning over the next 12 weeks, and look forward for you to be reaping all the rewards on this program, and we'll see you in the gym. Hugs and kisses.